we're back live. Seemed like we was having somewhat of an issue there with the stream as I restarted the whole stream. Maybe a crash. Ooh, there is a crash there at the crook of the track. That looks like Jason Howard in that crash. As always, I hate when we drop out of a stream, as it makes it where we have to restart it, and it takes a few minutes. And hope we don't lose you guys. But if you ever do get cut out of a stream, just know that we try to back these videos up so that you can watch them on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. So you can always catch it later if we end up, taking your time from you. But it's like Randy Kirtley there trying to put Robert Whitaker's car back on. Got another car coming from the bottom of the lane all the way to the top there. That was Ed Howe's car, racing the old Russ Wheeler 16. See a really good pass there from Gerald Suttle on yellow as we get a hard hit, and I mean a hard hit there coming out of the crook of the track. That may or may not have almost cut the guide flag in two. So you see Brennan there putting the car back on red. Robert Whitaker. Also there, Tom Payton in orange. And Jason Howard there on black. All three of these guys involved in that pretty severe wreck as Gerald Suttle skates on through. So we see Bo McPherson making a real hard move there on black, passing Gerald Suttle as Gerald Suttle comes off there and loses a lap to Bo McPherson. Bo McPherson currently in third place, trying to reel in Gerald Suttle. And he's doing a really good job there on black, making those laps and passing Gerald Suttle there on purple. Gerald Suttle looks like he comes off again as Bo McPherson really getting a good coast coming around the high banks there on black. Even passing Gerald Suttle one more time there on yellow. Thank you for those likes. Speaking of likes, if you would, watching whether on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, please like, subscribe, and share us to all your friends and family, and even your enemies. Let's add that one. Share us to your enemies. Maybe make that relationship a little better. Bethany McPherson, let's go, Bo Butter. That's a good name for him, Bo Butter. I call him Bo Daddy Dollars, but I like Bo Butter too. Bo really changing the light scene here from the orange track, as Bo currently from the orange track was in sixth position. Didn't fare all that well in the orange track, but he's about mid-pack. Can make up a lot of time here on the circle track, and I told him a while ago that he could possibly even pull off a podium here, especially since his car is really driving hard. As you can see there on black, he was really hauling the mail with a 1.65 median time, and his fastest lap time of 1.57. He was just running the boards there. As we go to the track mate here, get a little bit better of an understanding of how these past three heats have went, let's take a quick look. All right, we see Jason Howard there at the top, our sponsor for this weekend's race, with 213 total laps, currently in the lead, turning 73 on black. What a blistering black lane he turned there. Bo McPherson on yellow, turning 63 laps, on orange, 67. Jason Howard was 71 laps on purple also. These guys here are something to be watching here on this circle track as we continue on here. These are pretty high numbers. Anything around the 70 mark is quite high. As you see Jason Howard there with 71 as an average, and Gerald Suttle there right on his heels with a 67.3. Gerald Suttle coming out of left field here tonight for the Fairview IT. Raced in a few of our races here. Hasn't had much success, but tonight he is climbing the ladder for sure. As Gerald Suttle in our previous race is taking the podium for that race, third place. But as at the end of the night, of course, we're going to tally up all these laps and we'll see where he goes. But I feel that Gerald Suttle might be taking home the podium at the very least here tonight. as we go back to the oval and take a look at these guys. They got a minute and 2 seconds left. You see Bo there behind me just leaving the shop here. I'm currently in the shop. Right there where that American flag is on the left of your screen, through that window, that's where they leave their cars, and I'm just right past that. If you wanted to ever come in and say hi or something. Mike Garris says Gary W. Cox. Well, we got 30 seconds before we start. Let's take a quick look here before we get started. What these guys are racing for here tonight. So currently our podium people are Randy Kirtley in first, Paul Woosley in second, and Gerald Suttle in third in the upper 200s from the orange race. But this is what the guys are racing for. Howard Construction Cup here for this weekend. Howard Construction, our race weekend sponsor. For any of your construction needs, call 499-1201. So we got 10 seconds before we roll into the next race. Keep an eye on these guys as they are running very consistently and hardly wrecking tonight, I've seen. Ooh, and we get a couple cars off there at Dead Man's Corner. Is it? Oh my goodness, that car there completely demolished. Coming off first, a hard hit off of Dead Man's Corner. As you see, I think that might be Tim Hall's car there involved in that accident. But he came off of Dead Man's Corner, got hit in Dead Man's Corner, and then went through the crook of the track on his lid, and somebody full throttled him. Can't know if that was Jason Howard or possibly Ed Howe that hit him full speed. But man, knocked him all the way around. As we get another big wad up there coming off the edge of Dead Man's Corner, Jay Latham and Tom Payton involved in that incident as Randy Kirtley puts their cars back on. See Glenn Burden there at the start-finish line. Keep an eye on the crook of the track because he'll be the guy that yells track if they end up in the crook of the track of each other hitting, going into the high banks. So we get a little bitty light come off there from Jay Latham on black. Jay Latham currently tonight has, and he gets involved there in a little bit of a scuffle there between Ed Howe. Jay Latham currently not at his best for most part because he's using my controller as he had some work he wanted to get done from DeFalco. So he sent his controller off to get some work done. So I'm guessing you guys know the difference between a DR and a DeFalco, so you know how much a different feel that is. So it's probably like being in a room of people staring at you, possibly with Jay Latham tonight, as he's got to try to get used to my controller settings, as they're kind of rough to learn. Ooh, and then Ed Howe just passing vigorously past Jay Latham on black with no bars held there. Kind of a sketchy move, but hey, it worked. As Ed Howe's really reeling in Jason Howard there on yellow, as they give and take there. As they come up on Jay Latham, he makes the pass on Jay Latham, but comes in too hard and ends up coming off Ed Howe. Ooh, as we get another wide open hit there. Gerald Suttle involved in that incident with Jay Latham on black. I didn't even see the car on white there, Tom Payton, come off. But nonetheless, these guys are really moving. So we take a look at the median times here. Jason Howard with a 1.68 median time and a best of 1.631, really showing out so far on this circle track, as Jason Howard's been itching to get that dub. Of course, he's been finishing, quite frankly, here lately, making a home for the bronze in third place, putting up his mailbox. As we see Ed Howe come off again there on purple. Tim Hall taking over Robert Whitaker currently with 51 laps. As Tim Hall just came back in on this lane, he is currently on red. And Tim Hall, a front runner, especially on the tri-oval, has some tricks up his sleeve, and he knows them, and he does them well on this track. And that always keeps Tim Hall in contention whenever we do double features like this, as he's really strong on the trial track. As we see Jay Latham there coming off again on black. And we get another incident there involving Robert Whitaker this time. So we see Bo McPherson there grabbing Ed Howe's car on purple and giving it a good once over real quick. We see Jason Howard there moving as our stream catches up. Please bear with us as our internet here at Livermore is not all what it would seem. We wish we could get a little bit faster internet, and maybe later we can as Jason puts Tim Hall's car back on red. We're back under green, and we're ready to race. As we see black lane there, Jay Latham taking her easy to keep his car on. That's a good, consistent move to make. As we have a car there on getting put back on green, Robert Whitaker, as a crash takes place in the high banks. A little excitement from the racers. You see Glenn Burden there tinkering with that car, making sure the braids are in line. He's probably going to put them behind the start-finish line so they can get their lap. As we get our red flag there, we must be about time ticking over for a lane rotation. That's not the only time you ever hear a red flag. So, yeah, we're getting a lane rotation. Let's take a look at the data real quick and see where the current average lap standings is. Jason Howard currently right now with a 71.5 average, doing real well, really just taking a grip, trying to get that trophy to take home for himself. He told me before we started this race he was coming for that trophy. And after seeing this race and how his car is moving tonight, I have to halfway believe it, as he is like 4 laps average above everybody else currently. Bo McPherson there nipping at his toes currently also. But, of course, the old tried and true people, keep an eye on them. Tim Hall, Randy Kirtley, Robert Whitaker, Glenn Burden. Okay, I was just letting know that some information's come in to the booth here as we got a minute and 35 seconds left to go. Some disappointing news here, as our series states these rules plainly. Both Sam and Bo will be taking a 10-lap hit as they didn't have their cars in the window while the heat was going on. This is very unfortunate, but this happens. We got to hold strict to these rules, as everybody here is created equal. And I know that's hard for some people to hear, but, I've been 10 laps down behind in my racing days before and been able to make those laps up. So these guys can do it. They just got to stick with it and hang in there. So we got 53 seconds before we go back green. Like I said, we're having some buffering issues here. Of course, that's just to let you know that we're running out of internet upload. It's possible that a lot of these people got their phones set to our Wi-Fi, and this might be cutting it down a little bit. Might have to do a little bit of a workaround come next week and maybe put our stream solely on a different network so that we're not susceptible to these types of interruptions. We're fixing to go back green. See Glenn there on red. As everybody piles in to do their job track marshaling. We got a stalled car there on purple, Paul Woosley. I guess maybe he was just a little late on the trigger. As we get a multiple car collision taking place there. Ed Howe involved in that wreck there. I think Jay Latham and possibly Paul Woosley. I try to get my eyes focused in on here to keep you updated with what's going on. We get another car coming off there on blue, having a little bit of a hard time getting Robert Whitaker's car back in there and settled down. So we get a little bit of a cluster up going on also between red, white, and green here. Something to probably watch for the next lane as these guys maybe either clear out or it could be something a little more drastic than that. Cluster continues as it rounds around Dead Man's Corner there, somewhat spreading out now as the faster cars move forward. We get a car off, and it's a rider on green. As I hear Jason Howard say, it's both shots fired. These two have had friendly altercations before. If we get a little bit of a bump there as one of the cars ends up getting bumped off the track there, and Tim Hall's car kind of takes a little bit of that grace as he gets put back on green out of Dead Man's Corner into the crook. We see Ed Howe there on black lane, currently running a 1.91, and his best lap of a 1.707. That's really hauling the mail for this track. I see Jason Howard there just currently with a best lap of a 1.691. Jason was really digging and really wanting that victory. And I'm kind of rooting for him as we've talked all this week, and he really wants that trophy so bad. And what better person to give it to than the person that's actually sponsoring the race? But we'll see how it goes. Kind of a Cinderella story. Jason's first win, and it's the first Cup Series race. As we see Ed Howe coming there off of black, not any other cars affected as we go back green. These guys really quick on the buttons there of the track to get the track shut off. These guys are running them deep, and there's a hard hit right there as that car right there in the crook of the track took a nasty hit in Dead Man's Corner. Possibly then knocked the braids out of that dude. It's Jason Howard's car. Whew. Not what Jason wants to see. Might need to slow that median time down from 1.77, which is the fastest, closely rivaled by Robert Whitaker there. As we get another one to come off there on blue, Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker currently with a very fast median time also, just like Jason's. Tim Hall, though, and Paul Woosley currently with the faster of the median times. Paul Woosley currently running the fastest lap, as you see there on purple. This to be expected there is there are the lower lanes. Purple was probably our fastest lane. I know black lane, you can turn some really quick times, but it seems like that Dead Man's Corner there is just so fast that it's hard to turn anything fast, so sharp that it's hard to turn anything fast, excuse me. As you see, Paul Woosley smoked past Ed Howe there on black. Ed Howe taking her easy there on black, and it pays off for him right there in the high banks. As you see, he didn't widen the front of his car up against Robert Whitaker's. So they kind of cluster up there, blue and orange. Robert Whitaker and Jason Howard. Two of our medium times there, the faster times. So we see Robert Whitaker getting put back on the track there. Bo McPherson messing with the car right now. Maybe fixing some braid, possible. Tries to put them back in the lane there on red. That'd be Glenn Burden's car. Glenn Burden took some pretty good damage from the orange track. He brought his body in here while we were in an intermission swapping from tracks to finish this double feature. And I'll tell you what, that body did take some serious damage in the rear end as you see Jay Latham there coming off in the crook of the track. Jay Latham really not been coming off as of late, so he might have had his car back working in order. Another one to be watching is Jay's one of our back-to-back winners here at Lanes Raceway. Quite a few of them coming off there. It looks like all yellows. So you get one off of purple and blue. Paul Woosley and Robert Whitaker neck to neck there. We get another hit. Looks like one of them got knocked off the track there. Glenn Burden. Tom quickly putting the car back on the lane there on blue. I think it was Robert Whitaker. Ooh, I hear another hard hit. As we're hearing track just constantly going off as another car comes off the track. As we see, these cars are really hauling the mail when it comes down there to Dead Man's Corner. Once they get flipped over on that Lexan, it's all over but the crying. It's not so bad if the cars stay upright and their guide flags are pointing down. But man, when they flip over on that slick Lexan, they're on glass and they start, I mean, they could fly all the way to the middle of the orange track or up in the TV off the high banks. As we head back green here. Keeping a close eye on Gerald Suttle, Ed Howe. As this heat ends, let's take a quick look at our pinball scores here. As I like to show our pinball scores for those that enjoy pinball. We currently don't have a pool table here at Lanes Raceway. But we're looking for one that's newer quality that will accept dollar bills, and they seem to be hard to get. But nonetheless, our pool table or pinball table here, we got Big Daddy 3 there. That's Glenn Burden, really putting in work on Godzilla, and doing a fair job on Rush also there with second place. My wife there currently in first place on Rush. We hold tournaments down here, and everybody really likes to play some pinball and learn how to kind of shunt the table or tilt it a little bit to get the best scores that they can. So you guys, if you're in the area, come on down and join one of our tournaments. We have a pretty good time as we do a point-based system of tournaments, and we play a couple games on each one of them, and you can actually play the tournaments for cheaper than you can actually playing the game. So come on down and check us out. It's got 1 minute and 42 seconds left before these guys go back green. Let's take a look again what these guys are racing for. The Howard Construction Cup, 270-499-1201. Give Jason Howard a call for any of your construction needs. These guys are racing hard for this Howard Construction Cup here. You see the saw blade there, the Howard Construction at the top of the ladder. Of course, here at Lanes Raceway, whenever we get a victory, we have the guys climb a ladder and sign the top of Lanes Raceway, so they're immortalized here at Lanes Raceway. And we like to give credit where credit's due. These guys work hard to get their cars in tip-top shape, and we want to celebrate their victories anytime that we can and show them that we do appreciate them here at Lanes Raceway. This whole Cup Series is brought to you by Fairview IT Cup Series, a big sponsor here for Lanes Raceway, as they put up the majority of the purse, and also they sponsored every single one of our rental cars here for all the kids to learn how to play and get into the system and, get out there and race. So we've got 35 seconds left here to go. We're going to head back to the pits real quick and see if there's anybody else in there having any kind of issues or what kind of work they're doing on their cars currently. And it looks like everybody's cleared out of the pits, except maybe possibly Paul Woosley there in the top right of your corner. See Ed Howe squeezing through there, and Randy Kirtley hooking his controller up next to Jason Howard, the man of the hour, the guy sponsoring this race weekend. You see that new DeFalco controller he's got in his hand, him talking to Glenn Burden there. All these guys love the DeFalcos. As As we round about 5 seconds before we see lights, we'll go back to our main view here, and you guys can keep an eye on the race. And now that Randy Kirtley's back in, keep an eye on him as he's very much a front runner in this race. We get quite a few hits there. Jason Howard off in the crook of the track. As he gets put behind the start-finish line there, be able to get him a lap, as most likely he didn't get that accredited. Oh, and he was put possibly in the dead part of the track. All right, Bo McPherson there setting him back. Oh my goodness, and he comes off and it looks like he hits Randy Kirtley's leg. Jason is upset about that. There's some confusion there that took place. Oh, that was his body. Oh my. As Jason's running for the lead here. That's very upsetting that that accident took place. Now, whether or not they're going to wait on Jason, in these kind of situations, it's tough to call, but it looks like they're going back green. Jason is going to take a hit in laps here. It's very, very disappointing for Jason. But yeah, people need to really watch where they put these cars by the start-finish line, as, if you put these cars in the dead zone, they won't move. That dead zone is actually what counts the laps here by the start-finish line. It's just right behind the line. So, and it can cause accidents to take place too, is what you've seen. Because it looks like we got a stalled car, Robert Whitaker there on purple, possibly some braids or just a full-out blown motor. As two cars are involved in an incident. Randy Kirtley there on red, involved in an incident with Jay Latham, as that was a hard couple hits there. Those hits have been known here at Lanes Raceway to bend axles, so who really knows what can take place here. We go back green racing. Ed Howe there on in yellow in second place, and a hard hit there in the high banks. Like, these cars are so hard to keep an eye in front of the car and everything. So some parts, it seemed, came flying off of those cars. It's like Jay Latham there taking a look at a car. Sometimes these tracks can't get shut off quick enough. These cars are moving at a high rate of speed. As Glenn Burton puts his car back on. Can't really necessarily be the faulter of the driver, especially on the wide open sections of this track. It's hard to keep your eyes on these tracks. I don't know if the video does it justice, but these cars are really moving. You really have to be quite somewhat of a skilled driver to keep one eye on the car and keep your peripheral vision active for other people. And then even then, you don't know if they're in your lane a lot of the time. So just do the best that you can do out there as you see these guys really getting a good momentum back, as you see Jason Howard back in the race. So it wasn't that big of a deal, as his median is still 1.87. And if he was wanting to lose laps, this would be probably the best opportunity for him to lose laps, would be on a white or a red, as most people don't turn really good lap times on those anyway, because that is our dumpster lane on the trioval. These guys ripping and roaring. As you see there on green, Glenn Burton just hauling the mail, passing people. As they cluster up, somebody gets a little bit of contact and a car goes flying all the way over in our stands. See a youngster there sitting there by the American flag, as Bo McPherson takes a gander, also known as Bo Butter, also known as Bo Daddy Dollars, taking a look at that car. Take his time. If you guys are watching, like, subscribe, share. and get Lane's Raceway out there to race fans all around the world, because these racers do deserve to be watched, as they really put in their time and effort to get these cars in ship shop shape to give you guys a show here. As that car quickly gets put back on orange there, Jay Latham. Great track marshaling by Mo McPherson as he takes another car off of Dead Man's Corner's graveyard on the ground, basically. It seems like all the cars have been there tonight. This is not real good either, as the ground's dirty and these cars have tire glue on them. So you know if they land on the tires, they're picking up all kinds of matter. Oh, we get a rider there on white. That's Jason Howard. It was actually Jason Howard. He hit, got a ride on red, it seemed, and then it jumped back into white. So he got lucky there. They kind of cluster up there, spaced out by a lane at least. So good pass there on blue by Tim Hall. Going through Dead Man's Corner. We get a good neck to neck there as yellow comes off neck to neck with Tim Hall there on blue. That'd be Ed Howe. We got 1 second left in this heat before we do a lane rotation. Tim Hall running a 1.6 and Paul Woosley a blistering 1.5 median. Paul Woosley also currently second. Jason Howard running the best lap time out of all of them with a 1.358, which must be a rider that gave him that lap possibly, or he started at the beginning, because a 1.358 is hard to turn. I don't think it's easily achieved on white lane. But we'll take a look at TrackMate here and see how fairly Jason took a hit. So we look at Jason, he took a 50 laps, the highest of course being Randy Kirtley was 64. So that's 14 lap different there. So that was very detrimental to possibly his racing, but it still might turn out in his favor. We'll just have to see, as he took somewhat of a hit to his average laps. His car's still running immaculately currently, as he is still in the lead with 400 laps. 2 heats left to go for him, and at max 6 heats to go for Randy Kirtley. So it's really going to turn here pretty quick. Not what you really wanted to see, but we see Jason Howard coming out this time. Make a quick check to make sure all the cars are here, so nobody has to take any kind of lap penalties, and make sure everybody's out there track marshaling. I'll be right back with you guys. folks, we have already been underway here for 20 seconds. Had to take a quick break. See Randy Kirtley there in the high banks with Jay Latham. And Glenn Burton there on blue. Currently the fastest lap turn right now is Paul Woosley as we get a little bit of a stall out there. Jay Latham taking a look at the car. And Paul Woosley currently with a 1.485. He's really got that car moving. Jay Latham getting his car put back on there. 1.953. Our stream goes to catch back up. Another yellow flag there. Hopefully we're caught up now. Median lap times concerned here. Tim Hall and Glenn Burton, also Paul Woosley, turning quite good lap times here. Those are your top three median lap times. Ooh, we got one on the lid going all the way around the high banks there. It lands pretty close there to Jay. He's going to make a reach for it. Somebody might have to hold its legs. It looks like Ed's trying to get it with his controller. Two guys, two twins wearing the same orange shirt. Two good friends of mine. You put these guys' heads together, you don't know what you can accomplish. Randy Kirtley getting his car put back there on green. As Jay Latham gets his car put on white. And we get a couple cars off there in Dead Man's Corner. One of them, Jay Latham again, and Ed Howe also. So we get somewhat of a cluster up here between those two and Randy Kirtley. We get Randy Kirtley involved in that accident coming through the crook, which was to be expected as they were so close together. Neither one of them wanting to let off. We see Sam there grabbing his car. Sam on red was actually caught by Randy Kirtley's car that got the little bit of the bump there through the crook of the track. So as we see Randy Kirtley and Glenn Burton pretty close together, Randy Kirtley takes another hard hit there in the crook of the track there on orange. Bo Butter, Bo McPherson, Bo Daddy Dollars there in Dead Man's Corner. Doing a little bit of a stretch. Trying to get these cars on as fast as he can there in Dead Man's Corner as he's in the hot seat, really. Bo's where most of the cars come off the track there as Tim Hall and Paul Woosley get put back on the track there in the crook right before the start-finish line. Bo McPherson messing with the chassis of a car. And that chassis of the car looks to be Randy Kirtley. As Bo McPherson looks in there to see if the driver's okay. We're going by green. Randy Kirtley reeling in as he gets a friendly let off by Ed Howe. That's very appreciative. As Jay Latham comes off there, coming out of Dead Man's Corner. Car's really running smooth there. We get a bit of a cluster up there. Randy Kirtley is able to come out there on green as we get two more. Another car coming around the high banks there on its lid. A good slip and slide. Looks like Tom Payton's going to grab that car and put him behind the start-finish line. There's Jay Latham on his lid. But he provided good entertainment for us to see him on his lid, sliding across the screen. As we hit up and go again, we see a cluster forming there. Randy Kirtley able to pull out of it. Randy Kirtley there on green. Turning in decent average mean. But Tim Hall and Paul Woosley still are front runners for median lap times. Currently, Paul Woosley with the fastest lap of 1.481. Tony Michael Gaddis says, cheering for my brother-in-law down here in Georgia, Jay Latham. Yes, we love old Jay Latham. Oh, man, and Randy Kirtley there really involved in a hard hit wreck there. Yeah, Jay's had a little bit of a rough night tonight, but if I know Jay, he's bound and determined to get his car in working order. Jay's always, and I'm telling you this, always a guy that runs for the top. Grew up with me and my brother, and just like all of our friends that we hung out with, always very competitive. And Jay Latham knows how to work on these cars. He used to go with my brother a lot to Slot City in Owensboro. And I used to take my buddy Daniel Taylor, and we would all get in there beating and banging on the tri-oval. So take a quick look here. Let's take a look at Jay Latham. And so currently Jay Latham has run 385 laps. He has one more heat to go as he's going to set out. Are you done?
I'm not running on mine.
Was you on red lane that last time?
I was on white. Then I'll come in for red.
Yeah, you'll come in for red one more time.
Not bad.
Speaking of the man, the myth, the legend, Jay Latham there, it was this question whether or not he was fully done. I had to let him know he's got one more heat to go. Currently in third place with 385. Like I said, Jay Latham always pushing to get those higher lap times and very competitive. Jason Howard dropping to second place behind Ed Howe there with 429. Ed Howe just recently bought his car, the Hardee's car from the hit movie Days of Thunder. Russ Wheeler. Usually when it comes to Days of Thunder cars, most people don't like the old Russ Wheeler, but I'm glad Ed got it. Russ Wheeler was probably the most cringiest character when it comes to Days of Thunder. But nonetheless, a pivotal role to fill that gap after Tom Cruise wrecked that Superflow car. You see Ed Howe there leaned up against the wall there. Randy Kirtley right above him. Talking to Christy Bobby there in the white shirt. Fellow drag racer, fellow racer here. That's Paul Woosley's wife. As she comes here, and she really does enjoy drag racing. I think she's going to be back and racing with us on a Tuesday or Wednesday night here shortly. Let's also see Robert Whitaker there working diligently on his car as we get prepared. Sam Nels there in the top of your screen, right there by the monitor, TV monitor there, with 42 seconds left to go as he gets ready to come back out. Seconds before we go live. Just going to move to a bigger version of the rear oval. Just kind of broaden it out, get a better look at everybody here at Lanes Raceway, having a good time. After COVID, everybody wanted to get out and, enjoy some space and some time. And, of course, that was one of the hardest things this country went through, I believe, especially socially speaking. A lot of us even not able to even go to church on Sunday. So it's always a blessing to be back in the midst of people and around them and feel their warm glow and hear the laughter of all these guys as they get ready to race. Really enjoying their racing, enjoying their company also. Howard Construction, 499-1201 is our weekend sponsor for this race. And there's the guy, the man of the hour there in the blue shorts. That's Jason Howard. He is the owner of Howard Construction. So give him a call for all your construction needs. Like I told you guys before, he helped build a building of mine that we used to work on a Mustang out on 1080. And I'll tell you what, that building still has good concrete in it. And the siding on it kept you really nice and cool during the summertime when you was working on it. Never work in the wintertime just because I don't like to, but nonetheless, he did a real good job. Him and his daddy, actually. Go back green. We'll get a car coming off there. Jay Latham getting them back on there. Bo McPherson on red. As I hear somewhat of a chatter on one of the cars. I think it's there on Black Lane. Possibly Tim Hall's car dragging the track a little bit, the body. I also hear cars' gear going out a little bit. Ooh, does it look like Randy Kirtley, I think. Nope, Randy Kirtley's on the backstretch. Somebody took a big hit there on the backstretch. You see Jay Latham there holding the punted car. They're on yellow. That would be Robert Whitaker. Probably took a punt there from Glenn Burden. This happens in racing. Like I said, if you got the inside lane, you ain't got to let off. Ooh, as Glenn Burden punts Robert Whitaker again there in the crook of the track, as you see the stream trying to catch up. Hopefully we don't drop stream here. Our stream catches back up again. Seems our stream of this camera is quite far behind currently. Maybe experiencing some heating issues possibly on the camera. I did buy the bargain bin stuff, so forgive me for that. Wanted to be able to bring you guys something. It seems like we're caught back up though. Seems there on purple, Glenn Burden running a good purple as he always does. Glenn Burden runs a great lower lane section. Always somebody, if you wanted to learn technique of how to let off, Glenn Burton's your man when it comes to the lower lanes. Randy Kirtley there at the back just can't seem to grab him. Randy Kirtley currently on blue lane. See Ed Howe there in first place with a median of 1.99 and his best lap of 1.826. Currently, our fastest lap time looks to be being turned by Glenn Burden on that purple lane with a 1.511 best lap, and his median not as good, must be coming off a little bit with a 1.62. We head back green racing there. It's like blue lane. Randy Kirtley trying to reel Glenn in, but Glenn's just too much on this lane. Glenn is really just smoking that purple lane. So we get a yellow flag with 30 seconds left to go. See there Jay Latham putting the car back on. It seems to be on white, so I'd be there to be Ed Howe there. And the Russ Wheeler, number 16 Hardy's car. Ooh. I see there Sam there on green, getting a little bit of a bump there from either Paul Woosley, I believe. But I think everybody think it would be acceptable for Sam there to do all the bumping and banging as he is driving one of my favorite cars there, the 51 Rowdy Burns. Little fan trivia for you when it comes to Days of Thunder movie. Rowdy Burns was actually mimicked after Dale Earnhardt. Also my favorite NASCAR driver, the late Dale Earnhardt, who died at Daytona. As you see there, right there in the center of the screen, Sam there on green with that 51 car. As we go to a brief intermission with these guys, let's head to the track mate and see how Sam's doing. So Sam currently towards the back of the field right now, but he has 4 heats left to go with 226 laps. Turning somewhat of average laps, but Sam, known him for a little bit, Dad, of course, known him for quite a bit longer. But Sam's a real good guy, and we really do appreciate him here at Lanes Raceway. He's going to get that car toned in and really represent for Rowdy Burns, I'm sure of it. I just hope Sam starts doing a little more beating and banging like Rowdy would do in real life. But currently, Jason Howard with 66.7 average, faltered there a little bit by Tim Hall with 73.4 as an average.
I don't think my body's gonna last much longer. I would either one. You took the car here. I can't believe I got through red. That unscathed. Wasn't unscathed, but it was as good a red as I've had.
So we got 4 seconds left before we go live. We're going to head back to the track. Howard Construction, our weekend race sponsor. Fairview IT Cup Management. That's what you're watching here, the Fairview IT Cup Series. As we go back green racing here. It's brought to my attention that Black Lane may be having some issues of breakout. So I'm going to keep an eye on Black Lane for this one. The breakout's set for 1.1 laps, which should not be achievable without somebody riding your lane. But nonetheless, even if you do get a breakout, even after that 1.1 is done, you're able to get another lap. So I'll take a look at this and we'll see what's going on. It seems Robert Whitaker is currently not in the race. Possibly, oh, he's right here behind me. Excuse me, I need to pay more attention. All right, and we're back underway. I just talked to Robert, and he had an engine loose. That's why he's not out there. He's still running pretty good here. As we see Tim Hall there currently in the lead. So with a median time of Glenn and Randy Kirtley of 1.57, 1.58, both of them running respectable 1.5 lap times there. I'm going to keep an eye on these guys. As, like I said, Glenn really knows how to run those lanes. Ooh, as you see Randy Kirtley there on purple, narrowly missing a hard wreck there by Jason Howard in the crook of the track from Paul Woosley's car coming off. Another yellow flag there, Glenn Burton's car. It's not like Glenn to be coming off on black because he runs pretty hard, but stiff competition between him and Randy Kirtley currently. They're on black and purple lanes, may be causing an issue. stream goes to catch up a little bit there. See Glenn Burden and Randy Kirtley there racing neck to neck. We get another little wreck there in the crook of the track between red and white, which is Tom Payton and Paul Woosley. Paul Woosley coming off a little bit here on white. It's a cluster up down there in Dead Man's Corner. Ooh, as we get a big hit to take place there, and looks like Jason Howard's got it under control there with a good field goal. Just writing down a few notes here to go review the video later to see if there's any issues with the track currently. So I take all feedback from the racers very seriously here. It looks like there Bo McPherson's going to need to push his car through as he stopped in in the dead zone there in the crook of the track. Take a quick look here. We got a few more heats left to go. We're going to take a look at the data. So we see total laps here. Ed Howe currently with 488. Tim Hall in second with 444. Jason Howard in third with 400. And it looks like Jason Howard's going to come back in for 2 more heats, as we have 3 more heats remaining in this race. Paul Woosley finished running his out as he had some bad luck there on blue lane, only turning 1 lap. But sometimes that's how it goes here. That's why it's a series. You're eligible to drop out 12 of your races, I believe, out of the 24. So, you know, not every one of these races have to count. So you want always the best amount of laps that you possibly can get, even if you finish last on some of those, you know, which wouldn't be very, I don't think that would actually ever happen, but sometimes you can finish second and everybody's running really high laps, and you'd want to keep it because at the end of it all, it boils down to laps. It doesn't boil down to finishing position in this series. So let's take a quick look out there in the parking lot, as it's dark outside, but it's going to kind of see how the weather's going for all these racers whenever they need to get a drive home here shortly. Well, it looks like all things are calm. Bugs are buzzing, so you know the rain ain't coming. Looks like Sparta's getting him some good lunch tonight. Cobwebs let us know that the wind's blowing, and I've done decided I'm not taking those cobwebs down. They let me know if the wind's blowing. But all's quiet here in Livermore, Kentucky. As we go back to the pits real quick, take a quick look and see what people are doing there in the pits. See Tim Hall there, mentally focusing, getting ready for the race. He's excited and waiting. You see Paul Woosley there stepping up. Randy Kirtley and Sam Glenn there leaning up against the table. And Gerald Suttle there, hooked up on red, getting ready to race. And then hiding behind that box there is Robert Whitaker. He was the guy a moment ago that let us know that he had a loose motor on his car, so he's working on that, trying to get back in the race. 11 seconds before we go back green. Let's head back to our main view here, where we can see all the messages coming in from Facebook and YouTube. And if you would, like, subscribe, and share it to all your friends and family if you're watching, and even your enemies. There on red, we got Gerald Suttle there in the high banks, and Randy Kirtley taking the bottom there on the black lane. Randy Kirtley's car really moving really good and fast there on black as he kind of checks up there on purple, but he had to make a move as he gave a little bit of a dump there to Sam on purple. Not much he could do there. Sam wasn't giving an inch. If you got the lower lane, you just don't have to wait. So it's either let off a little bit or feel the wrath. Got a cluster up between black, purple, and yellow there. That's Glenn Burden, Sam Nelson, and Randy Kirtley. Randy Kirtley really reeling them in there on black. Randy Kirtley definitely wanted to watch to see who's going to finish. As he's checking up there again, as you see Sam kind of let off that time. Let Randy on by there on black. As the stream catches up, Randy really just giving it everything he's got, trying to make as many laps as he can. We get another track call there. Sam involved there in purple. Whether or not Randy gave him the boot, who knows? But, black lane is a lot of the times where you make up the most of your laps. As it looked like there was a boot to Sam there that ended up into Glenn's neighborhood. And got Glenn off there. But I would say that if enough times that happens, Sam will repay in kind. I know I would. Got a little bit of an issue there. Paul Woosley trying to figure it out. As he puts Gerald Suttle there back on red lane. And we're going back green. Randy Kirtley reeling them in there again. And Sam just wasn't even touched on that one, but just kind of came off the track. Intimidation is a big factor in this racing. Now Randy did give Sam a little bit of a bump on that one as he come out of the crook of the track. They're over there laughing and cutting up. My dad, you see him there, Randy Kirtley at the end of the track there in black. I think he thought that might have been a little funny. I know my brother will think that's funny if he's watching. We got all the cars clustered up now. Quite dangerous. It's almost like Randy Kirtley's running side by side with Sam just to cause an issue there. Who knows? So we get a big hit there coming off on the high banks there. Quite a few yellow cars in this series. That one's Glenn Burden's car. I think he's actually using one of Jason's older bodies, as his body took some hard hits and is undrivable for the remainder of this race. And we got a gear problem here, because someone's gear is completely burning up. Looks like it was Bo McPherson's possibly. Be Tim's gear. Thought it was Bo, but it looks like it's Tim's. We go back green racing. Bo McPherson really in a frantic hurry to get his car back on. As we get some hard hits there in the crook of the track. Looks like Bo McPherson was involved in that. Sam Nelson and looks like maybe Gerald Suttle, possibly. Yep, Gerald Suttle there on red. I think it's just a safe idea to put all those cars on the back. As you see Bo McPherson taking his car off, must have took quite a bit of damage. As we get a red flag in the lane rotation. So I wasn't even paying attention to how much time was left, but it wasn't much. As we see here, Howard Construction, for all your construction needs, 270-499-1201. Our weekend sponsor. Currently in the lead, Tim Hall with 510 laps with one heat left to go. Ed Howe with 488 laps finished up. Randy Kirtley currently with third place, which should take Ed Howe this next heat with 2 lane rotations to go. As that's one to definitely watch. Glenn Burden with 2 lane rotations to go with 419 also. Him and Randy Kirtley just battling it out with 69.8 laps average together. These guys really putting in work. As it's a knockout drag out here. What are these guys racing for? That's a question I keep asking myself. These guys are racing these two races to add their laps up for this beautiful Lanes Raceway Fairview IT Management Cup Series Cup Trophy. Climb the ladder. That spiral staircase to victory. Howard Construction, chromed out, razor blade sharp saw blades. Howard Construction Cup. Howard Construction, this weekend's Lanes Raceway sponsor for the Fairview IT Cup Series. Give them a call, 270-499-1201. Fairview IT Management Cup Series, our main sponsor for these NASCARs. Give them a call for all your IT management needs. Also, all your camera needs or your phone needs. These guys can solve pretty much anything if it has a computer brain. Got about 35 seconds before we go back green. Everybody frantically working on their cars. I'm just sitting in here and drinking me a little bit of water. Jason Howard coming in to finish up his last heat, I believe. They're on red. Really a strong runner tonight. So he come to me I think last night or the night before, or maybe it was in the morning, and asked me if I could get his car ready for the race, and wanted me to paint him a body and get him some pins installed and stuff for his car, and I told him I could. So this is an open class. I'll work on anybody's car, and that is the benefit of this month at Lanes Raceway. For everybody that wants to get started, it's a good time because I work on all cars and fix all cars for free. So I don't currently charge for that this month. That's the treat of Lanes Raceway this month. This last month, we were giving out track time for anybody that spent $75 or more. If they spent $100 or more, they got a full day of track time. So we like to do every month, we like to give the racers a little something. And a lot of times these guys were complaining last month about their car not being freed up as much as others. And of course, I got some knowledge in it. My dad and my brother's got quite a bit more knowledge than me. And my brother and my dad, very much have come around and helped me fix some of these guys' cars so they run as smooth as they are. A lot of these guys are beginners, but they got the technique down. Like I said, Jason Howard just recently started racing these slot cars, and as you see, he's in our pro class, and he's doing quite well with 409 laps, currently in fourth position, it seems. So we go back green. Got a little bit of a cluster with these guys, trying to pick some of them apart. There's Gerald Suttle there, just got a breakout there actually it was Glenn Burton broke out Gerald Suttle there on green, so he needs to go behind the lane there on orange. Glenn does. Okay, so everything's righted. You see these guys clustering up here. Black and purple, keep your eyes on them. There might be some conflict there. Sam Nelson currently on black. And Bo McPherson with that blistering 1.59 median currently on purple. Bo really putting in some good time there. Randy Kirtley and Glenn Burden still neck and neck as we round up for the end of these last couple of heats. These guys are a fist fight to death here. Both of them hooked up, both of them veterans in the slot car racing world. Glenn Burton already got a couple wins here at Lanes Raceway. Actually back-to-backs. Glenn's also a part of the back-to-back club. So these guys are really itching to get that win tonight. After this race is over with, I will tally up the scores. Keep your eyes peeled for Facebook Live or on our Facebook page, Lanes Raceway, and we will get all of the victors and everything else as we do our end of the night celebration. So we get a car coming off there. Paul Woosley getting them back on there on purple. Looks like he had a little issue getting the guide flag in there. I always stress very much that you keep the guide flags just loose enough that they always rebound to the center. If you don't do that, that issue occurs where you have to kind of wiggle it to get it in there. We got 8 seconds left in this heat. All right. It looks like the median times for Randy Kirtley was quite a bit increased there towards the end. As it looks like Tim Hall is still currently in the lead with 510 laps. He has 1 lane left to go with White, and Randy Kirtley is going to finish his lane rotation on orange. So it's really going to come down to these 3 guys, it looks. As you see, Ed Howe finished, Jason Howard with 1 lane to go. Probably might pull up to 4th position, possibly. But it looks like it's going to be a race between Tim Howe, Randy Kirtley, and Glenn Burden for this last little bit of laps that they can achieve. And yes, it is true, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they're racing for. A trophy, Howard Construction, highly coveted trophy, to take home and set on their mantle for the first place victor. Give Howard Construction a call for all your construction needs. 499-1201, Fairview IT Management Cup Series here. Give them a call for all of your computer needs. If you're watching this, please like, subscribe, and share it to all your family and friends. So we take a quick look here at our pinball scores. Something we like to do here at Lanes Raceway is play a lot of pinball. Probably after this race is done, I know Glenn's going to be really hyped to play some pinball. I think he's hooked. I think he loves some Godzilla, and I know he loves some Rush, as he's been in quite a few of the tournaments.
I won't have time. I'll probably change motors. I'll probably take that one right there. The new engine, that new motor in it. I think you run 2 races, the motor's about done. And all our motors. Yep. Okay.
All right, just got an update. This is kind of sad news. Paul, Robert, Tim, and Ed, all their cars are broken. So it might do a big change here in the race as we continue on here. These guys still, as you can see, surrounding the track there, helping the track marshal. And we do appreciate that. I hate that they had such a hard thing happen to them right here before the finish of the race, as it looks like another car might possibly be going down there. Jason Howard's there on green. Could possibly be his braids are not good, or it could just be a smoked motor. Who knows? I mean, these cars have been taking some hits tonight for sure, but you hate to see these guys not make it to the finish. All right, as you see Jason Howard's car there sprung back to life. He's possibly just braid for the issue. See Randy Kirtley taking over the lead there with 505 laps as Jay Latham puts his car back on red. And we get another car put back in on black there, Bo McPherson's car. These guys are giving it everything they got for the final heat here for the Howard Constructions Cup. Ooh, and a hard hit there by Sam Nelson. His cars really took a hard hit, a thumper there in the high banks. It's another yellow flag. Everybody's nerves on end as we end up rounding this around. Looks like Glenn Burton's car there, possibly Jason Howard's. So we got a rider rolling around there. Jay picks them up off the track there on white, puts them back there behind the start-finish line so they can get their lap. They're on black. Jay Latham's car. You see Robert there reeling around. So we get a yellow flag again for a wreck there. Sam Nelson there on yellow. Really reeling them in there. Giving it everything they got. A little bit of contact there. Glenn with the hot hands there, grabbing that car and putting her back on there. Glenn seen that one coming. We're back racing. Seeing Bo McPherson there on black, he just looks fast to me. Looks like a 1.64 median, so he is fast. With the fastest lap time of a 1.526. I'm sure you guys seen him just really whipping it around there on black. Giving it everything he can for this last heat. Sam Nelson there again. A little bit of a love tap there by Bo McPherson. Need to push through there on blue for Gerald. Looks like Randy's kind of stepping out a little bit more from Glenn. As Glenn's on the higher lane, it's going to be hard for Glenn to be able to compete. And Gerald there with 500 laps, trying to creep as hard as he can up on that. As we get a car seated there, Sam Nelson there again in yellow. Evidently doesn't like yellow too much, at least this heat. Bo, he'd come in here saying his car was super, super fast, and I told him, I said, you know, one day they'll be fast, the next day they won't, and it's kind of funny that his car is quite fast today, but a couple days ago he was having some trouble with it, and he wasn't wanting to go fast, and now here it is. That's slot car racing for you. Ooh, as we have a hard hit there on the front stretch. Right out of the crook of the track. We heard track called, but it didn't get called quick enough as these cars went wide open into each other in the black lane. You see Robert Whitaker there trying to assess the damage and put these cars back on. They might not have guide flags left. See Tom Payton coming around there. He's got to look at his car. So he looks upset there. Getting him a little stretch in there. I think he'll be just fine. Well, thank goodness you can drop 12 races in this series. Sometimes it goes like this in racing, just like in real life. Cars blow up, and Sam Nelson just kind of barely comes out there on yellow. It's kind of weird to see that. But yeah, sometimes you have good races, sometimes you don't, so we get to drop some here. I'm sure people are very appreciative of that. Gerald Suttle and Jason Howard within one lap of each other. It's a neck-and-neck battle between blue and green. Ooh, man, and yellow narrowly escaping that debacle that could have took place there in the high banks. As you see Jay's car there just barely centimetering by from Sam's car. Get another car off there in Dead Man's Corner, Gerald Settle. So we get another hard hit there. It looks like that might be Jay again there on red. I don't think he got that lap. He probably needs to go behind the start-finish line. There we go. It looks like White Lane creeped up there on Jay and gave him a double tap. Got him in the Dead Man's Corner and then turned around and got him in the crook of the track. Somebody's really hot-handed there to be able to get him back on that quick. His car's running a little loose there on red. So was White. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of it all. As we swap over just to see the final laps here, so we do a quick tally here. I'll do that live. As it looks like Randy Kirtley was able to get 565 laps for first. Glenn Burton, 557 for second. And Jason Howard with 527 for third place.
And I got a lot of ground made up, don't I? Yeah, I'm gonna get a picture of that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's your standings, and this will be all I'll say, and then I'm going to shut the stream off. The standing is Randy Kirtley with 793 laps, first place. Gerald Suttle, second place with 729. Glenn Burden with third place, 727. And the man of the hour, our race weekend sponsored by Jason Howard, fourth place with 715. This is Donovan Kirtley. You guys have a good night.